Hi, it's Ursula Renee, and we are back. And I am seriously this time getting to one of the first things I learned that was uber important when I first learned that my life had been affected by witchcraft. So I'm just going to say what it is. One of the first things I learned was the importance of keeping silent, like making moves in silence. You probably have heard this before. I'm going to tell you, as somebody who dealt with witchcraft being levied at me, it's one of the first things I learned. So I was listening to this preacher. I'm gonna pick up this story that I talked about in my previous video, and he would have a prayer line. He'd teach, then he'd pray at the end, and I just remember him saying something to the effect, "Some of y'all talk too much." So I'm listening, I'm driving down the street and I'm listening, it's like late because he's in another state, and so his time is, so it was late. So I'm driving down the street and he's like, yeah, some of y'all just talk too much. If you, get $500, you telling people, oh, I won $500. Oh, I got $500 in the mail. Oh, they had to fund me $500. Or, I got accepted at the so and so. Your child get, this is a prestigious award. My child did whoop de whoop de whoop. You putting your child out there for people to levy witchcraft at your child because they jealous. But you I plan to, we going on vacation at the end of July, and we're going to hit, 4 countries and 16 cities. And so my husband just got promoted on his job, and we got to say it with attitude. Just got promoted on his job, and he's going to be making $20,000 extra a month on his new job. We got to tell it all, honey. And as he's talking, feeling convicted. Not that I did it like that, but you know what it is? Because why? You should be able to share your news with people, because you're going to share it, I believe. Okay, well, you know what? This is a new generation. It's twofold. So I'm going to say old school people, or people, of a regular age. You probably just want to tell the people you feel you close to. Who you going to tell? Like your best friend, or your girls, your dudes. I don't want to leave guys out because it worked that way too. Oh yeah, my son got drafted by the so-and-so. Oh, they invited him to try out to whatever. Oh, my son made the team at whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Michael Jordan called my son personally and invited him on the private yacht. Like just talking. And so you feel like, really, even still, I can understand it. So you feel like you get, like you excited. So you want to tell, you want to tell the people like, so yeah, you thinking I could tell my family, I could tell, my best friend and my girls or my dudes, or, oh, my little people at work, I'm going to tell my people at work, oh yeah, my kids did, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, that. But as he's talking and he's teaching about, y'all just talk too much. Shut up. Like, you're talking to me. It convicted me. So it wasn't even, it could be twofold. Like, I don't know if he said that it could be braggadocious, but it's coming to my spirit. So sometimes it could be braggadocious. Other times you're just excited. So of course, when something big happens, it's somebody you just want to tell. I've even seen that in YouTube videos. I remember, like, there would be people who, they'd be teaching something and it's going to be to their detriment. So let's say it's a business that they have, and they're like, look how much I made, and I did whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop, and all I did with this company, y'all need to call them and sign up. I'm like, you know how many people on YouTube? And all these people gonna sign up. And they're gonna drive your price down, and then you're not gonna be able to get the same price. While you bragging, I made $400 for 20 minutes of work. So when all these people sign up that you done told to sign up on your small YouTube channel because you're trying to grow it, you're not gonna make $400 anymore, because that field is now going to be saturated. Right? Like, people don't be thinking, they would just be talking because you want to tell somebody. Like, you got $400 for 20 minutes of work. It's somebody you want to tell. You know what? I remember this girl, like, okay, so I used to do resale, like fashion resale, clothing resale. So, retail arbitrage but it with clothing. So, I love to shop like cute clothes. So, love a discount. So I'd find something, but I'm a businesswoman. So, I'd find if I found a good deal, I just buy gifts for people. I just stock up on Christmas gifts for people. Like, oh, this is so cute. I'm gonna get multiple ones. If I thought it was cute for me, then I'd think of somebody else I could buy one for. I had to learn, honey, child. Okay, that's another story. Some people are not grateful. But anyway, so what I learned to do is just buy it and then sell it, right? And so I remember I used to do that kind of work, and someone was saying, "Ooh, I found this really good brand somewhere. It's normally expensive. The brand, their items are popular and expensive, but wherever they found the setup, they called it a honeypot, where they could get, let's say, their shirts cost $89. They found a place where they had a bulk of their products, and let's say because I think some people don't know that this is an expensive brand, right? So they used to get it in bulk and sell them for like less than $10. They retail $89, right? They sell them less than $5-10. So this person who did what I did, like you buy stuff, I don't know about the place. They're telling the story. I'm just repeating what they said. Like, man, the workers there start asking me, like, you be in here all the time. How you doing? What you doing? You always in here. Da 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 da. How things are going. And I think I just start having a conversation. It's like, girl, yeah, I'm in here just checking things out. But yeah, I'm just, this is, and tells them about her little setup. Like, I buy all of these because there's this place that I could sell them for. We'll do. So you gonna tell that to the people at the store where you buying the $5-10 setup? Okay. Why, when this person came back to buy that $5-10 item that they used to get in bulk, they had marked them. They were now marked up to like $60 or more, but it wasn't the same setup. Like, now they're saying you're not going to be able to buy as many if one item is $6. That's not funny, because we have a tendency to want to, like, you're excited that you can find this for $5-10 and sell it for $80. Like, somebody you want to tell. You don't tell the people at the store though. But I get it. It's in our excitement. Sometimes it can be bragging, and other times you're just excited. I get it. But I felt so convicted when he said it, and I remember it was certain things I hadn't accomplished. Some people don't know. It's some things you ain't accomplished because you done told everybody. And in that time since he said that to me, I've heard more than once. People said it different ways. Like, don't take the lid off the yams until they cook. It was something like that. It didn't make sense to me because I don't know how people cooking their yams. Do you cook the yams in a pot? Maybe I put mine in the oven, but I don't know. But basically it's saying, don't lift the lid until it's ready. Don't start talking until you're done. Basically, with whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, don't say nothing. Not till you finish. I've heard it in different ways, but now I get it. And I'm gonna tell you, when he said it to me, I was so convicted, like, oh my goodness, because that was me. Because I know if somebody told me something they was hyped about, I'm your biggest hype person. I will make a good hype man, my hype woman, because, like, if you tell me, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna speak life to you. Like, you could do it. Like, even if you didn't believe you could do it, honey, if I see it in you, I'm about to tell you, you got this. Like, you could do this. All you got to do, let me tell you, other people started late and they finished. It matters how you finish. It don't matter how you start. I'm about to speak some life to you, because that's what I do, right? So I guess, you know what, we can't move based on what we will do for someone. You can't think like that. You will be a sucker every single time. I had to learn that. Just because you think good and you have good intentions doesn't mean other people do. Because there are some people who are in your midst who just watching you anyway, or they asking questions anyway. They just show up to ask questions. Like, girl, what's up? remember I worked with this girl. She was like, I don't know anything about you. And I was thinking, broad, I just met you. What you mean you don't know nothing about me? Now, at this point, I know about witchcraft. So I'm like, not that she's a witch, that I'm thinking the girl's a witch, but we're at work and we had just left a new hire class, and she wasn't even in my area, right? She sat across the room. But when we came out of new hire, we sat next to each other, but there's a guy that she liked that sat next to her that I don't know him. He wasn't in my area. You know what? He kind of was. So maybe she didn't know how well I knew him. And so some people feel threatened if you in the midst with somebody that they like, or just in general, you don't know why somebody's watching you, what they're trying to figure out about you, right? And so one of the things you look for, I often said it, I said that in my book. When you have somebody that you're not cool with, they all of a sudden asking you a ton of questions. You know, here's the thing. God is omnipresent. He's all-knowing. Satan isn't. And so he has to have feet on the ground that he put his spirit in to find out, monitoring spirits, familiar spirits, that's tracking what you do. And so it's likewise in the natural, the people who, if there's a witch or somebody nefarious in your midst, they got to ask you questions. They don't know you. They watch you for a minute. And if you're not talking, I'm always amazed people who, they talk a lot to people they don't know. I started this off talking about people who talk a lot, and I get it. If it was someone that you know, you want to be mindful of that. I'll come back to that. But for people who do a lot of talking and you don't even know the people you're around, like you just like talking, people, and that's almost narcissistic. So people around and you just like an audience. So you're just talking like that person who, you know, they're talking about so many personal things. You're thinking, do you say that out loud? Maybe because I'm super private, I'm thinking, do you say that out loud in front of people you don't know? Like, I didn't want to know that about you. I used to like think, oh wow, like some people are so transparent. That's honorable. That's what I used to think. And then now I know it's straight foolish. It's straight foolishness. So yeah, you just giving people ammunition that they need. Oh, okay, that's what she like to do. Okay, that's who she dating. Oh, okay. Like the people who post all their business on social media. That's a whole nother video. Well, that's a whole nother video. They know, they have all your pictures that they can take screenshots of and take to the witch lady down the street, and that they can put on their altar and speak crazy stuff. You done posted all your kids, and I was thinking about Kerry Washington. It was the longest before I even saw what her kids look like. She got 2 kids. And her husband is Nigerian. It was the longest time before we even saw what her kids look like, or at least for me, I didn't even know what they look like. And I was like, and sometimes it's what you like, right? You don't know these people. They be putting your kids all over social media, and they don't know how to protect themselves, right? They don't know how to cover themselves in prayer and to bind off witches and wizards that can be screenshotting a photo. I remember somebody was like, you know, I want to go natural, but I don't want to cut all my hair off. And I was like, okay, when you ain't got to cut all your hair off, they knew I had transition, right? And I was like, when you ain't got to cut your hair off, you can transition. Well, I was just thinking, I want my hair to look like this. And they pulled up their phone. And they scroll. Like, I didn't know what they were doing, right? I'm just talking while I was doing something else. Like, well, you ain't got to cut all your hair off. And I'm doing whatever. And they pull up their phone and they scroll. And I was like, well, I want my hair to look like this. And they turn their phone toward me. Why? They had screenshot my photo from Facebook. Now, I know Facebook, okay, you shared it. I get that. It just spoke to me that, okay, anybody can do that. Right? Because this person actually is somebody who is suspect. Like when the Lord was dealing with me, it's suspect of somebody who doesn't mean me well. Because I actually, before I knew that, they were already blocked on my Facebook. So I felt some type of way because they were already blocked on my Facebook. But it was when we had been friendly on Facebook until I got revelation that this is not somebody you want with access to what you do. Like if I happen to share something, it's not even that I don't share personal things. I share things related to something that, you know, in my profession that I do. And sometimes it's, you know, just certain activities that I do, but it's never about like relationships or anything else. Like people don't even know what my relationship status Well, my relationship status is, and they be trying to figure it out. And it's like, dude, I'm not going to tell you that. It's none of your business. That's not what my social media is for. And if I post something, why I already did it. So let's go back to what we were saying. When he said, you know what, many of y'all talk too much. This was maybe 5-6 years ago. And it resonated, and I was so convicted, and I was so like, ooh. I was just learning about certain patterns in my life that I didn't understand that were negative. And of course, once you find out, okay, well, this could be witchcraft, you want to know, well, how do I break this? How do I move forward? And I just remember thinking, oh, I would share with people, and I always felt like something's not right. Like their reaction is not what you would expect, but I'm still thinking I would be happy for them. So I'm going to tell them anyway. Like it's something new, I'm going to tell them anyway. Although their reaction to me was lukewarm or it's very icy. Like, oh. Like that, right? And I'm thinking, like, you dismiss it, like, why wouldn't they be happy for me? And you don't know somebody can take that information and curse it left and right, and it never manifests for you. You telling them what your plans are. I'm thinking about starting this new business, and you got all the business plans and everything lined up, and the capital and the people, the partnerships, and one by one it all falls through. You don't know, or you could not know while you talking that somebody is a witch and they can go in the spirit realm and crush all of that. And you just watch it fall by the wayside. Like, what happened? I mean, I had this plan, and then watch this. We die for lack of knowledge. We can be so dark and empty. We then go to the person we was close to, the person who sent you and crushed your whole dream. Now you're going to that same person to cry on their shoulder and say, oh my God, it fell through. I don't know what happened. Like you sharing what, and they just thinking, oh, okay, it works, right? Okay. And what's wicked about it is you think they have some, at some point, be convicted, but you know, Satan's children aren't convicted. They're motivated by now what they see work, they get worse. They're gonna come at you even harder. And other people who are children of God, they're gonna come at you even harder, but you still just don't know. So now you're confiding in the person who is sending you issues. One thing after another. I had to get that revelation, but I wanted to go back to this man who you know, when he was teaching this, I put it to use and tell you what I did. So as he's saying this to me, I was like, okay, cool. I won't say anything. I got some things in the works. Absolutely won't say anything. I knew I was put on this earth to be a writer. Love to read, love to write when I was, as far as back as I can remember, right? I was a studious child, and, you know, I'm in school. I would read a book over and over. I always had a lot of books, and I'd read them over and over and over. Then when I got tired of reading them, I would take out pencil and paper and just start writing, just copying the book, like writing the book. Like, I don't know. That's, you know, the feel of the pen, the pencil in my hand, just writing. I loved it. Then when I became of age, I thought, okay, well, you know, I had to work. I was doing other stuff, so it wasn't on my radar to just do, but I knew, you know, the fullness of what I was supposed to do. Like, now I understand my gifting is teaching. My gifting is motivating. My gifting is encouraging. My gifting is writing. My gifting is sharing. My gifting is just seeing people break free. It's about seeing justice and deliverance. And at that time, I'm so far removed from that, I don't know that. But it had been a long time when it almost seemed a whirlwind when I got the revelation that witchcraft had been affecting my life and there needs to be deliverance. For whatever reason, well, Holy Spirit and my purpose, it was like, okay, this is the topic of my first book. Now, all this time I'm thinking, oh, I'll end up writing a book about relationships. You know, I go through my 20s, you know, I have all these different experiences. And I was like, oh, my book would be about relationships and being a Christian. Ooh, what it's like to, you know, to be a Christian woman and single in the church and those experiences. Oh, I'll write about that. Never got to it. Didn't even make an attempt to write it. I had, you know, because I was working and that was not where my focus was. So that's not where my focus is. Didn't even start a book, right? when I discover, excuse me, wait a minute, what witchcraft is and how it can affect people in different ways, it's still very new to me. But I'm going to tell you, if I didn't put pen to paper and then start typing up a storm, and even when I read that book, I maybe might read it once a year at this point. It was published in January 2019, so 4 years ago. Occasionally, I will read it, and it's like somebody else wrote it. Because it was such a whirlwind. As the Lord was ministering to me of what was going on, I started writing based on scripture, and the Lord would give me the scripture, and I studied it, and I started writing. And as when I read it back, it's like somebody else wrote it. It blesses me in a way like somebody else wrote this book. But one of the things when I was writing it, though, the attack of witchcraft will affect your mind first. And I was having I knew I wanted to write the book, and I go to write it and I'm typing it, but sometimes I'd have a hard time focusing. And I now knew, because I'm learning what it is, so I'm praying against it, and as well as other stuff that's going on. Yeah, it just seemed to be a battle to get it done. I told nobody. I told no one. Like, so, imagine I'm sure if I was working on a book prior to what I was learning, I would have been like, so I'm working on this book, and I've gotten 3 chapters done, because that would be normal, right? You can get your friend, girl, like, I got 3 chapters done, and, so, mom or your sister or your brother, so I wrote this. Check this out. Listen to what I wrote. Okay, so look. It says, da-da-da-da. I told nobody. Not a teacher, not a friend, not a family member, I took to heart when he said, some of y'all talk too much. You dealing with what you're dealing with right now because you talk too much. You're telling people too much. And they're the ones who probably stopping you. I took that to heart. I said nothing. And I'm going to tell you, I knew I was already battling because I had to pray to focus just to even bring everything together. And once it published, and I got my first proofs, is when I announced I had a book. And I didn't even say what the title was. But I felt so accomplished, and I knew if I had talked about it, I wouldn't have finished. And so that was January 2019. And I remember I was working at the job that I had been there 5 years. It was coming up to 5 years, where I had learned what witchcraft was, because it was manifesting in this office, right? Against so many people. There was a full-fledged witch in the office, and her coven. But the focus was mainly on this person who was definitely a witch, right? And I ended up leaving that particular job when I was led to go back to school. I had 5 courses left for a particular degree, a second degree that I had started long before. And I was like, I want to finish what I started. I'm going to go back, and when I discovered that I only had 5 classes. So imagine I quit my job to finish these 5 classes. I remember going to like a class reunion. I remember people would be like, why are you so busy? What you up to? What you doing? I said nothing. I was like, what you working on? I remember saying, I'm working on a project. Like, if somebody just pressed me, like, why you don't have time to do A, B, C, and D? Well, I'm working on a project. I'll get back with you, such and such and such. Right? And they'd be like, what kind of project you working on? I said nothing. I gave no details. I didn't say anything. I took that to heart so much. And I'm going to tell you, you guys, I said nothing about what I had happened. When I walked across the stage in December, that's when I posted. Like, I said nothing that holds to me. Don't you know, like, if you study, you got 5 classes, senior level classes that you're working on. There's somebody you want to talk about. Oh, I had this to read, and I have this paper to write, and somebody you want to decompress to, maybe, you know what I mean? And it's not like maybe there's somebody trustworthy that you can tell. For me, I just couldn't, right, at that time. But perhaps there's one person that you can confide in, or what, you know, I'm not saying if there's somebody you truly trust that you can go to, go ahead and absolutely do that. For me, that wasn't the case. I said nothing. I said nothing. And it wasn't until it was so satisfying, because it was just certain things I personally, you know, have had to battle. And it was new for me in learning how to battle certain things and finding the era of what I had been doing before that gave people an end to my life to be able to use things that I had said to them, right? So I said nothing until those yams was finished. I lift the lid. I say nothing. I post nothing until I'm done. Like and that works for me. Like, I said nothing. I walked the stage and was, and then I felt this relief. Like, okay, so whatever you send dark, and I'm gonna tell you, that's another teaching I'll tell you. So after something is done, you still want to be mindful who you share things with. That's another teaching, because there are some witches who, you know, you get your degree and your diploma or your raise and your promotion, and you like, you know what, I finally got the promotion I worked for. And then you tell people, honey, some people will pray against, they find a reason to fire you. So you got the promotion, yes, but you still told the wrong people. And you lost that promotion. You done made this big level mistake, and they've demoted you in front of everybody after you've been promoted. You've been fired, or you've been demoted. So you still have to be careful, because that's one thing that I learned. That's going to be another lesson that, you know, that the Lord had to even teach me recently. Like I was talking about, you know, and I make that another lesson. But operate and move in silence. You know, tell people after you're done. If it's something that, you know, it's finito, once you're finished, it's done, or it's a place you were going that you had planned to go on vacation, you know, with your honey bumpkins. Tell them after it's over. Like, don't say anything until it's finished. Post your photos after y'all came back. Y'all on the way back home. I'll have to share my story when I was out of town, and I was telling people, I was posting while I was out of town. Honey, that turned into a trip from hell. But I didn't yet know about the importance of moving in silence. So I was talking a little too much. But we'll follow up with that next time. Thanks for watching.